We're gonna get right into it, okay? I'm gonna spoon feed you this information. We're gonna read criminology, okay? Part 2, identifying types of crime. All right, page 156 from the book of, Criminology for Dummies. Listen, acting out of hate. Hating someone is not a crime, nor does it constitute terrorism, but individuals and groups that harbor racist, anti-religious, or homophobic views sometimes give actions to their hate by committing violence against others, which is where hate crimes comes in. Remember, a hate crime is a crime committed because of the race, religion, or sexual orientation of the victim. Most states today have created separate crimes that punish violence more severely when it's motivated by hate. Many hate crimes don't fit the strict definition of terrorism that I gave you at the beginning of this chapter. For one, racist attacks often aren't driven by a desire to change governmental or social policy. A drunk white kid who strikes out at an African American woman in a convenience store, for example, is more likely just filled with hate. But sometimes groups do advocate racist violence. And because they are attempting to achieve a social objective, they can fairly be considered terrorist organizations. Okay, so we're talking about a smaller scale, Like you can hate your neighbor, but that's it. You're not trying to change the world because of that. Unless you are. Sheesh. Okay, FBI. The FBI documented 624 hate crimes incidents in the United States in 2007. About 64% of victims were targeted because of their race, ethnicity, or national origin. Okay, this was just in 2007. 17% were targeted because of their religious belief, and 16% because of their sexual orientation. Numerous groups in the United States espouse various views about one person's superiority over another person. Spouses, the Southern Poverty Law Centers, a nonprofit organization devoted to fighting hate groups, has documented 888 active hate groups in the United States. 888? Keep in mind, though, that the SPLC takes an expansive view of the term hate group, including organizations opposed to illegal immigration, among others. Thus, inclusion of the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law, list doesn't mean a group is a terrorist organization, but prominent in the list are numerous neo-Nazi organizations. Numerous groups claiming affiliation with the Ku Klux Klan and racist skinhead groups. Some of these groups advocate for violent actions against groups of people they hate. Here comes the bomb. These groups are becoming more sophisticated in their recruitment of members. They may use social network sites on the internet to reach out to like-minded youngsters. I've seen white supremacist websites that contain video games in which a player can kill blacks or Jews. Clearly, these sites are designed to appeal to kids. In addition, there's a relatively large white supremacy music industry. Bands that celebrate the white supremacist views may play at organizational rallies to draw recruits. Some hate groups even fill Easter eggs with racist propaganda and distribute the eggs on schoolyards. And this is not being covered on the news. Fighting back against terrorism. We'll be right back with more. And we're back. Criminology for Dummies. Page 157, Chapter 10, Front Page News Terrorism. Fighting back against terrorism. From a criminological perspective, it's worth noting that terrorism combines two elements: motivation, a desire to strike out in violence to achieve a terrorist goal; operational capability, the people and the tools necessary to commit a terrorist act. Operational capability. That's what's happening, okay? To successfully fight against terrorism, you have to eliminate sorry, my accent there, but I'm trilingual. You have to eliminate at least one of these two elements in the following sections. I take a closer look at these elements and how the US government is trying to combat them. Eliminating terrorist motivation. Okay. Maybe I should read that part a little over again, but we'll move into eliminating terrorist motivation again, just because you can also go and read this for yourself. Page 157 on the Criminology book for Dummies. Criminology for Dummies. This is not that hard to understand, is it? We'll be right back to eliminating terrorist motivation. Eliminating terrorist motivation. All kinds of people desire significant change in governmental or social policy. But what leads them to use terrorism? And how can the US government combat such extreme motivation? If I knew the answer, I'd have the formula for world peace. But even though no perfect answer has been discovered, society can gain some insight by looking at the last 30 years in the Islamic world. Since about 1980, coinciding with the creation of groups like is that AI or AL? I don't know, but this is AI Qaeda. Why weren't being attacked by robots, actually? In Afghanistan and the rise of the Ayatollah in Iran. Islamic extremists have been pouring money and resources into reshaping the minds of Arab Muslims, for example. Rich benefactors such as Osama bin Laden have funded the creation of thousands of Wahhabi schools, which teach AI, or see, this is AI Qaeda's fundamentalist view of Sunni Islam, with the goal of spreading Islamic law and domains throughout the world. In addition, Islamic extremists have worked hard to believe resentment throughout the Islamic world against the West, against Israel, and against the modern Islamic regimes that are supported by the West, such as Egypt and Saudi Arabia. The result of these schools and these resentments has been thousands of people willing to carry suicide bombs and die to achieve their goal. Okay, now this is also old information. Who knows what information has been twisted? But remember this: operational capability, law enforcement's role. That's what we need to read more about. Let's get right into it after this short message. I need to drink. Page 158. Identifying types of crime, part 2, eliminating operational capability. Law enforcement's role. In the short run, the U.S. military and local, state, and federal law enforcement officials carry the burden of preventing terrorism. The 9/11 Commission, a group created by Congress to study the failure to stop the 9/11 attacks, identified some serious lapses in the fight against terror, but none is more important than the need for everyone involved in the fight to share information before September 11, 2001. Not only did the Central Intelligence Agency not talk to the FBI, but different branches within one agency didn't talk to each other. And federal communication with local law enforcement on the issue of terrorism was minimal at best. So they've never worked together? Is that what they're saying? As a result of 9/11, the federal government has significantly changed its strategy. Mechanisms of sharing foreign intelligence with federal law enforcement are now in place. Federal agencies communicate with each other much more, and significant inroads have been made in developing communications between local law enforcement agencies and their federal counterparts. Okay, so since 9/11, they came up with a more secured, better, updated security plan, pretty much. But anyway, we will continue here. So, remember that in particular, the development of fusion centers, state-based operations that fuse together personnel from many different agencies, is having a big impact on the fight against terrorism. In essence, fusion centers bring together intelligence personnel to share information among different agencies within a state. The goal is to break down the walls of communications between local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies so that the next 9/11 can be identified before it occurs. Today, if a patrol officer stops a suspicious person with a bag of ammonium nitrate, fertilizer that's also used in making bombs, the officer can call his fusion center to find out whether that person is a terrorist suspect. While fusion centers help gather and analyze information, the FBI has taken the lead in conducting actual investigations. The FBI has made terrorism its number one priority and has put significant resources into its Joint Terrorism Task Force program. Oh, but we remember that was created by the government, right? So that they could fund this with reason. So that was the reason they created, so they could control that section of just funding for that task force. This program, replicated throughout the country, combines police from numerous agencies into a single task force to investigate terrorist activities. These task forces are the primary investigative tool against terrorism within U.S. borders, and since 9/11, they've been very successful, they say. Despite the significant improvement in cooperation among law enforcement agencies, many challenges still exist. Trust, information sharing, and cooperation don't come easily in the world of law enforcement. Cover-ups, right? Much depends on personal relationships, like this guy, right? Personal relationships, bunch of people involved, and given the fact that cops spent a lot of time with liars and crooks, the Epstein files, people, building trust is a full-time, never-ending challenge because they will eat you and they will just kill you so they don't have to deal with you.